Do you find yourself overwhelmed by clutter? Are you collecting everything and you look at things and say, you know what, I need to get rid of that. But then you hold on to it anyway because you think you'll need it later. You do realize that is called hoarding. But did you know that hoarding doesn't start first with the collection? It starts in the mind. Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Lamar, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. This is a podcast that talks about normalizing the conversation surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns. Now, I started the conversation off, back in January of 2023 because I was dealing with thyroid cancer. And I thought that, you know what? I'm sure there's someone else out there that's dealing with something that they can't, give a voice to, something that they wish they knew more about. So if I brought my story to share my story, I thought it would open the floodgates for others to tell their story, and it did. I've had several guests to come on and share their stories of triumph and victory, and those that are still going through, but it's their testimony and their story nonetheless. Is this you? Do you have a story that you would like to tell? If so, please send me a message to operations at diversitydesign.com, or you can reach out to me anywhere on social media where Embracing the Fight is. And if you have not already, please click like, comment, and share on YouTube at Embracing the Fight. Now, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Blue Sky. The only difference is on Instagram, it is Embracing the Fight underscore. Now, what we're talking about today is hoarding. So when you think about hoarding, you think about that TV show that comes on. I think it's TLC or A&E or something like that, but it's called Hoarders Buried Alive. And you always go into these homes and you see, where people have like all types of like filth. You see roaches, you see rats, you see, all types of animal poop and everything inside this home. And people that live there, they have a small path that they can, kind of work their way through to get to wherever it is they're sleeping. And 9 times out of 10, they're not even sleeping in the area that they call a bedroom. They're usually sleeping like on a sofa or just a little pallet or something on the floor, just enough space, for them to lie there. And they're not concerned with all the rats and the roaches and everything that's climbing over and around them. And their families are usually crying and they never can understand, why is mom and why is dad, living this way? Why are they collecting all these things? Why are they holding on to all this stuff? And you notice when people start to hold on to things, it's usually after a traumatic event. For instance, there was a lady that had been married, she and her husband had been married for like 50, I think they said 58 years, and she was in Oregon. Well, anyway, this lady was married 58 years, her husband passed away. Well, prior to him passing away, he was the one who was always organizing and putting everything away. And, he was saying, she loved things because they had done this cute little video at their 50th, anniversary. And she was playing it so people would see it, where he was saying, I helped her to clean up her mess. And he was like, I love her beyond her mess. And when he was saying it, they showed the house and everything. Everything was organized and labeled and neat. It was a lot of stuff in there, but you could literally move around. You didn't have to climb over anything or anything like that. You could say, okay, where are we saving the extra bars of soap? And he'd point you right to it. Or where's the garlic? He could tell you exactly what these things were. Well, when he died, the organization died with him. And she started to collect and keep things that either had little or no value, plus things that had value, but she mixed them all together because her hoarding was brought on by grief. Then another way that hoarding can be brought on is because of the clutter that we had in our minds. So let's say you're interested in starting a new hobby. You go buy a bunch of stuff and you try that hobby, but you don't it doesn't, really pan out for you, what do you do with the stuff? You say, you know what, I spent my hard-earned money on this. I'm not going to throw it away. So they put it in a corner. All right, then their mind says, okay, I want to try this. Then they go and they buy more stuff. And once they buy that stuff and they figure out, I don't want to do that either. And they put that in a corner too. Then people come over and they say, oh, you paint. Oh, you play the guitar. Oh, no, that was all stuff that I tried. And they're sitting there going, well, if you just tried it, you didn't like it, why do you still have it? Why don't you donate it, get rid of it? But for some reason, when we have thoughts or feelings in our mind, we grow weird attachments to inanimate things because it takes the place of the feeling of failure. So if you were that person who picked up the guitar and tried it, and you were never able, to actually play like the people that inspired you to want to play, then you're holding on to it because you don't want to feel like you failed. You're saying, eventually I can get the success if I continue to try, if I get lessons, if I do these things. But all those ifs just pile up in the corner with all those different tries. So the question is, what is inside of your head or inside of your mind that is unsettled, that causes you to want to try all these different things and collect all these things and place them, over to the side once those things don't work out, rather than say donating them, rather than accepting the fact that maybe whatever that thing was, it wasn't necessarily for you. So failure, grief, those things tend to cause you to hoard. You want to know another thing that causes you to hoard? Think about it like this. You hear somebody say, you know what, I got a collection of baseball cards, and those baseball cards are worth X amount of dollars. Well, that sort of thing doesn't, happen very often anymore, as the way it used to, because you got people out there to make all these fakes and they do all these different things. But some baseball cards are still, extremely valuable. And you might just go to an antique store and you find some and you start saying, I'm going to collect these. And I'm going to collect because I know they're going to be worth something someday. But while you're in the antique store, ooh, you see some 45s, those little small records, and you say, they don't have many of these. Let's get some of these. And then you go and you see some unique looking kerosene lamps. Oh, nobody uses kerosene lamps anymore because one, kerosene is extremely expensive, to get to burn. And, those lamps, they aren't like safety rated as like the heaters and things that we use now to heat our homes. So they would just be, decoration. So imagine you collected all this stuff. You got punch bowls, you got, china, you got, all these unique things that you found at an antique store just for the sake of saying that eventually they're going to be worth something. So the question is, what are you collecting all of that for? Are you collecting it for your grandchildren, your children? What are you collecting for? Because if it doesn't have any value now, or you haven't taken the time to actually see how much value it has, then what is it going to do when, you're no longer here? Just imagine. Now, sure, you have people out there that appreciate a good set of china, a nice punch bowl, things of that nature. Depending on, what lifestyle you have. Some people like modern things and they don't like the traditional things that were in homes. So imagine when you leave here, will the person that you're leaving it to appreciate what you have? Because all in all, once you're gone, they're gonna have to go through all this stuff that you've collected and decide what to do with it. Or they're just gonna call 1-800 got junk, and all the stuff that you thought you loved and you thought you needed and you thought you wanted to have, for your family, they're just gonna throw it away. Or they're gonna put it on Facebook Marketplace and sell it for pennies on a dollar. Or, some of them may do the research, take the time to figure out how much these things are worth, create a store online, and they're gonna sell it. But either way, they're not gonna keep it. They may keep a few things because they are going to take the things that either A, you love most, or it reminds them of you. So rather than, filling up your home with useless things that are causing you to put yourself in harm's way, don't do it. There's other ways to collect things. So when you think about hoarding, I'm talking about the people that have decided that it's okay to live in squalor because they feel like no one loves them and they feel like, no one visits me anyway, or this stuff gives me comfort because I know people can't visit me because I'm surrounded by all these things, and that's okay. When in actuality, if they had a hobby, if they had family, that truly loved them and spent time with them, they wouldn't, entune themselves with all of this foolishness. So one thing that we also have to consider that I didn't mention, well, I did, but I didn't like go into detail. When you think about mental health, hoarding is it is an indication that the person is struggling with mental health issues, whether it's schizophrenia, being bipolar, whether or not they're dealing with loneliness. It's something that is weighing on their mind that they can't articulate, so they just buy things to replace whatever it is that they've lost or whatever it is they think they've lost. And then those hoarders that live with the trash, that live with the rats, that live with the roaches, that's not a sane person's actions. Sane people don't decide to live inside of their home when it smells like, a waste dump. It, I mean, your home cannot look and feel like a landfill, because imagine if you have an emergency and someone has to get in the home to get to you, and there's only a narrow pathway. You can't fit a stretcher in there, you can't get a wheelchair in there, and you definitely can't get someone to pick you up and carry you out of there because the space is only so wide. So the question is, what do you do if you're the person that is observing that someone you love has become a hoarder? So first, what you should do is sit down and talk to them. Let them know how important they are to you, how much you love them, and how much you care for them. And then you start asking them, about the things that they're keeping. Sure, I've seen on Hoarders Buried Alive that people will cut up. I mean, terrible. I saw a lady pull out a gun one time. I was like, "You're not taking nothing out of here." And it's like, ma'am, what finally got that lady to allow them to take some things out? Her granddaughter came up with little tears in her eyes. Little girl looked like she might have been like 5 or 6. And she was like, "I love you, Grandma. I want to come visit, but I'm scared." And that's all it took. When that elderly lady realized the reason she hadn't seen her granddaughter was because of her safety. The little girl was scared to even come in the house. And once that lady saw that, she agreed to let them come in, and they did this huge yard sale. They cleaned her house. They did everything for her. And once the house was clean, her daughter brought the little girl over. Little girl jumps out the car. She runs. Grandma opens the door. The little girl doesn't say, "Ooh, it's clean." She doesn't say, "Ooh, I can see everything." She says, "Grandma, I missed you. You did this for me." Sometimes it's just what people need to know that, they're loved and that they're wanted and that they're appreciated in order for them to change, whatever it is that's causing them to want to hoard, that want to hold on to some things. Because I know there are some people that grew up with nothing. And when you grow up with nothing and people start to give you things and you start to get things on your own, it's hard to let those things go away because you imagine going back to that place, of lack. And nobody ever wants to feel that way. No one wants to feel like they're going to lose everything. And especially if they've been in a place where they've had nothing before, they want to avoid, that feeling. So sometimes that's why, they hoard is because they're like, "Oh my goodness, I can go back here. But if I do go back here to where I don't have anything, I have all this stuff that I can fall back on." Now, right now, if you were to come, and visit, me where I'm living, you would think that I'm a hoarder because I have so much stuff, but I really don't have that much stuff in the grand scheme of things because when I moved, I gave away like $15,000 to $20,000 worth of furniture, clothing, shoes, maybe more. I mean, I don't know. I just valued the stuff pretty low because I figured there were some people out there that needed it. So I'm not, a hoarder. But there are boxes that, have personal items in them that I will not get rid of, like pictures and books and things that remind me, of the life that I've had, growing up. And I know, get what I'm saying. This lady just says you need to get rid of all the stuff because when you die, who's gonna want it, who's gonna, take stuff. But I mean, this kind of stuff needs to be passed on to the next generation. That way, you know who your aunts, uncles, your family tree. You'll have all the information. I know I need to downsize. I know I need to make it all digital. But what I'm saying is sometimes in those moments when you get to sit with the elders in your family, it's a different feeling than flipping on a computer screen than them holding that picture, looking at you, telling you who these people are and what they meant to them. So I have a lot of that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I don't just have random stuff like, you know, balled up paper and wrappers and stuff like that. And it's neat and it's organized. All the boxes have names on it. So don't judge me. None of that. What I'm saying is I know that I have a limit. So if I were to like go and purchase another home, I would have to buy a whole lot of stuff. And all the things that I have, kept are things that I can either use or things that have sentimental value such that, it's something I can't get again. Like if it gets in the fire, then there's no way that I can get it. I'm not saying I got 20 hammers or 20, ladders or 15 bricks just randomly sitting around. No, everything that I have is functional and things that I need. So when you think about hoarding, you have to think about how much do you actually need? Like who really needs to have um I don't know, 800 tennis balls. I mean, if you're a tennis coach, that's one thing. But after a while, you have to throw them away once they're flat. You don't just keep them. Some people keep them, give them to their dogs, or whatever. But I'm not talking about those folks. But I'm saying, how much is too much? If you notice that you have 4 or 5 of something that, isn't perishable or something that, you would have to get a new one after a while, then that's hoarding. So let me give you an example. Like my mom, she still has like a it's like a basting brush. And I looked at it and I was like, man, this thing is old. And she was like, yeah, I only needed one. And she's had it since she's been married. I think it's like 50 some years old. So it's like if you take care of what you have, you don't have to buy multiples of something, you know, to use or something that you think you need, I should say. So there's no sense in buying 35 bottles of lotion unless you're one of those people that know how to coupon and then you turn around and you sell the lotion or the detergent or whatever it is. What I'm saying is you should do it with purpose if you're going to do it. Like the couponers. That's hoarding, but you're hoarding for money. You are hoarding to sell these things, or you have a large family and you need it. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about those people that have 95 cans of the same type of soup and they not even popped the can open and they said we're saving this for when the world ends. Okay, if the world ended, you still don't get to eat the soup. What is the thought process? What are you doing here? So when we think about hoarding, first, one, ask yourself, do I need this many of these? Two, when you're out shopping or you're looking for something specific, tell yourself, this is what I need. Don't add anything else that's unnecessary that you know you're gonna bring home and put it in a box, put it in a shelf, put it under the bed or in the garage. No, it needs to be functional and something that you care about and it's something that you can use. Three, if you find yourself feeling this way, talk to someone. You can go to counseling because they can tell you whether or not, this stems from something else because usually hoarding stems from something else. And you should be able to find out whatever that underlying issue is, address it, stop hoarding because you are putting yourself in prison for something that is occurring in your mind that could potentially be corrected. Now, if you don't want to be a hoarder, you can always call 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Or if you feel like, oh, that's embarrassing, I don't want to do that, tell people that you truly love, people that truly love you, that won't put your business out there and make you feel some type of way for collecting a whole lot of stuff. And do it one room at a time. Because think about it, that whole house didn't get that way in one day or one week. It happened over time. It happened from pain over time. It happened from loss over time. It happened over time. So you have to give yourself time to actually fix it and do it. And don't get angry with people that come to help you because they were like, oh, you kept that, or oh, this is junk. Wait. They have their opinion, just like you had your opinion when you were choosing it or picking it. Just smile and say thank you that someone cares enough about you to come help you get through this foolishness and this clutter, without, really calling you out and really making you feel bad. So you don't have to be a hoarder if you don't want to. And you'll enjoy life so much better when everything is clear around you, not just, the room, but your mind. Because have you ever noticed that when you're at home and you're trying to read a book and you look over and you see a dirty dish or you see a plate or a cup or something that's out of place, you jump up and you go to move it. But you do it because your mind will constantly linger on the things that are out of place and you can't even enjoy the book. You can't enjoy the time that you're spending, with the person that you're spending time with, or you can't even enjoy the TV show that you're watching because there's everything around you is a distraction. Hoarding is a distraction. It takes you away from the beautiful life that you could experience and have because you're trapped inside of something that you can't see your way out of. And like I said, it's okay to ask for help. So don't allow things and objects to clutter and overcome your life. Seek help. Start to get rid of, you know, the stuff that you have. And, you could turn your house into like a Walmart if you want to. Get some shelves, have a yard sale every week until you get enough of the stuff out there so you can see the floor. Now, if it's one of those things where there's rat feces and, roaches and stuff like that, just please throw that stuff away. Don't try to sell that because you're just passing on disease or potential disease and you don't want to hurt anyone and you really don't want to hurt yourself because people will sue you. And I prefer that not happen to anyone that's listening to Embracing the Fight. I want you to have the best life possible, and I don't want you to be buried alive. So, if you need someone to talk to and you just want to reach out, I will talk to you all day to help you get off of that ledge because I like for things to be neat and organized and I like to be able to touch things. Now, is everything like that where I am right now? No, not yet. But it will be very soon because I'm not myself until things are organized and together because that is who I am, honestly. So, thank you all for taking your time out to watch this episode of Embracing the Fight. And all I can say is please, 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 you know, don't be a hoarder and spend more time, decluttering and getting things out of your life so you can have space to move whatever your heart desires into your life. And as always, I want you all to have an absolutely amazing day.